Joining us now is Steve Turley, who is the owner of U.S. Home Designs, which is a residential design company, and he is also a member of the Lake Norman Wildlife Conservationists, and he's on the board of directors of the North Carolina Wildlife Federation and was awarded the 2007 Governor's Conservation Achievement Award. So we are pleased to have him joining us today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks.
So you sound like you've been very involved, and
Yes.
this group does quite a bit. So let's start off with just talking about how it was formed and what exactly it does. It's a chapter of many, I guess.
Yes, the Lake Norman Wildlife Conservationists is a chapter of the North Carolina Wildlife Federation. The executive director a couple of years ago wanted to really expand on the idea of think globally and act locally. And so he came up with the idea of starting these individual chapters that would be active in their own communities and addressing the needs of their own specific communities. There's a hawk chapter over in Monroe. There's a Lake Norman Wildlife Conservationist at Lake Norman. There's one in Asheville. There's one in Gastonia now. And there's one in Wilmington. And they want to start them all over the state. So if people are in an area where there isn't a group, they can contact the North Carolina Wildlife Federation and they'll start a group in their area.
And what does the group do?
Well, the group basically, they pretty much act autonomously and look at what the needs are for their specific community. Obviously for us it's the lake,
Right.
But they just look at their community and see what they can do within their community.
So it's kind of a grassroots
Very
effort.
much so. Very much
All
so,
volunteer?
yes. Yes, all volunteer, yes.
So what are the big projects that you're working on now in the Lake Norman area?
Well, one of our
challenges?
ongoing projects is obviously the osprey nesting platform. The president of the Lake Norman Wildlife Conservationists, Mark Lancaster, of Lancaster Custom Dock and Shoreline, he has generously put up all the poles for 11 different platforms. He's going to do 5 more this year. That's one of our projects that's ongoing.
Are they using the nest now? Is this the nesting
Yes.
period now?
Yes, this is the nesting period. We've got some pictures of both the old design that we had, which was made out of wood, and then Tim Guestwicki asked me to come up with a new design that would last longer than wood, so we came up with a design that's totally galvanized steel. They should last about 100 years, and so that's what we're putting up now. Other projects that we're doing, we do fish attractors for the lake.
What's a fish attractor?
A fish attractor is, God, how do I describe it? It looks
Trust
like an
me.
old Sputnik satellite. It's just a ball with a bunch of sticks coming out of it, or not sticks, but pieces of PVC. And we put 300 of them out at the lake. And what they are is they sort of group them, and the minnows can get in and stay within them, and the big fish can't get to them. So it gives the minnows somewhere, the babies somewhere to live without the big fish getting to them. We did 300 last year. We're going to do 300 this year. We've got a coverboard project out on Lake Norman, pioneered by Bill Mugg of the group. And that is where we take pieces of plywood, put them on the ground, and then go back out months later and lift them up and see what reptiles and amphibians are living under them.
How big are the boards that you do that with?
Oh, just a half sheet of plywood, either 2x4 or 4x4, not very big.
And what do you do with that information? Is that something that you...
This is a brand new program that Bill's pioneering, and we don't know what kind of amphibians are out there on the islands, and so
Okay.
now we're going to document,
Okay.
what's there.
So how do people get involved with this group? I mean, is it something that people can sign up to volunteer?
Yes, it's actually very easy. It's $25 is all it costs to become a member. You can go to their websites. If you Google Lake Norman Wildlife, you'll pull up the Conservationist website. You could go to the North Carolina Wildlife Federation website, ncwf.org. You can sign up there. And there's literally hundreds of things to get involved in. It's perfect for families because a lot of the things that they do are children orientated, like building birdhouses, things like that.
Well, I think it's important for kids too to understand how all the development here is impacting the birds, the turtles, and what you're doing to keep them here and to keep
Yes.
this area natural.
Yeah, the building and development obviously impacts habitat, and there are things you can do to offset it. I mean, just because you build a house and you take a bunch of trees down, we've got something called the Backyard Habitat Program, where you can put in a birdhouse, a water source like a bird bath. You can plant a couple of bushes that have berries and seeds on them that the birds like. And you can actually have your backyard certified as a wildlife habitat.
And what does that do if you certify it as a wildlife habitat?
Well, you apply, you get a great little sign that says, yes, your backyard is a wildlife habitat. But what it does is it helps to offset that loss of habitat that happens as a natural
Do you
part
see
of
certain
development.
birds that are indigenous to this area in jeopardy, or that are
Yes, there are birds just because of development and other reasons. The great crested flycatcher, red-headed woodpecker, peregrine falcons. There's a lot of birds that are impacted by development.
What about the turtles?
Turtles, we actually, once again, Bill Mugg pioneered doing these turtle basking platforms out on Lake Norman. We built, I think, about 10 of them last year. They're anchored to the shoreline. And the turtles, I didn't know, but the turtles basking in the sun is an important
That's
part
how
of the
they work,
turtles.
yeah.
Yeah, and so they built and put out a lot of these turtle basking platforms, and the turtles just love them. Very easy. It's easier than a log for the turtle to climb up on and just sun themselves all day.
That's interesting. Now, what about the shoreline, too? Now, I've also heard, too, there's issues with the shoreline eroding. Is that something that you're working?
We've done a couple of pilot programs in conjunction with Duke Energy, who has worked with us quite a bit on everything about the islands. And we've done some test plantings, which have gone very well, because a lot of the islands are eroding away at a fairly fast rate. And rather than doing something unnatural to stop the erosion, we wanted to try to do something natural. And so we're doing plantings that are slowing down the erosion.
Are there certain types of plants that are more?
Yeah, water willows.
Okay.
Water willows are natural to this area. It's very important to use indigenous plants that are commonly found in this area, not bring something in from outside.
So is most of what the group then project oriented, where there's various projects that this chapter takes on that's specific to the lake and the things that you were talking about? Are there also like events? I mean, do you host kids getting together, building birdhouses or anything like that?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we do the Birdhouse Bonanza every year where the kids get together and build birdhouses. We do a big fishing program for kids that otherwise normally might not get exposed to fishing. Every month they have a meeting at the Mooresville Public Library, and most of the time it's a meeting that is focused on educating families. They bring in birds, reptiles. It's always an interesting speaker, but much of it is focused towards families.
Great.
That's wonderful.
Well, we do have that on our calendar every month at the library. So if you want more information about that, you can go to the lknsavings.com calendar. Also, I have to give credit to the Baby Boomer News. They did a great write-up on your group and all the different projects that you're working on.
Yes.
And that's in their April 2010 issue. So again, if you're interested in getting involved and like a quick summary on all the different projects that you're working on, Baby Boomer News has a great write-up for you. So, but thank you so much. It sounds really exciting and a great family thing to do.
Yes, it is.
Thanks for coming
Yeah,
on.
thanks so much. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.